Black Scully on, check. Black turtleneck on, check. Oh yeah, it must be another marvelous episode of the Governor of College Football. And with me today, we have a very special guest. I'm talking about a guy that needs no introduction. We're talking about a guy that once threw for a staggering 537 yards versus Fordham. We're talking about a guy that is first team All-MAC in 2022. Academic All-MAC, second team Academic All-America, most recently named MAC Scholar Athlete of the Week. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Kurtis Rourke, Governor of College Football, hashtag GOCFB, CFB Nation, your only college football destination. Let's get it. Governor of College Football, we're going to recap ACC.
Hey, that's
Two great
CJ
defensive
on the
minds. They have to be better on that side of the ball. Welcome to the Governor of College Football. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great. I appreciate you guys having me.
Absolutely. You're a guy that we've been paying attention to for a while. I'm not sure if you've seen our content before. We've talked you up quite often. So let's go ahead and get into this interview. I'm going to ask you the first question. Talk to me about growing up in Oakville, Ontario, Canada. I believe you are the first. We've talked to roughly 130 athletes since we've been doing this. I believe you're the first from Canada. What was it like growing up in Canada? And also, was football your first love?
Yeah. So I grew up in Oakville. Oakville's kind of been in my home, and it'll probably forever be my home. Grew up playing football when I was 4 years old. Kind of just followed my brother. He was kind of the guy did everything after just being that little brother. And so initially when I started playing football, I definitely wasn't in love with it. But the more I continued to play, the more I loved it. The more I got a passion for that. And yeah, it was football's been just huge in my life, like sports in general. And I'm just happy to have football in my life for sure.
That's amazing. So you mentioned Nathan already, so we got to talk about it. What was it growing up in a Rourke household? I'm sure we're having an older brother, Nathan. The competition there was elite.
Yeah, for sure. It was great. Just like any siblings rivalry, we did everything. We competed in everything. We had a basketball hoop, in the front driveway, and so we were we were competing every day, and just getting better. And I attribute a lot of my competitive nature to growing up with him and being able to compete in everything that we did. And but it's that friendly competition, and so like every day, before every game, I'll get a text from him and vice versa, just say good luck, go out there, compete, enjoy it. And so we are competitive, but we also we're looking out for each other's best interest. So.
That's amazing. So what do you remember most about Holy Trinity? You put up phenomenal numbers your junior year, 38 passing touchdowns. You had another 3 rushing and led your team to the Halton Championship in 2017. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, high school was amazing. That was probably my favorite time of my career. Just being able to go to class and then go compete with your classmates. I created lifelong friendships. In that season and throughout high school. My head coach, Coach Joe Moscato, kind of was the mastermind behind calling plays and schemes and all that. And he taught me a lot as a player, but also the way that I want to be a coach one day. And so I there was just that season, that junior season, like you mentioned, was specifically just a fun year. Just being able to grow with the guys and compete to the goal of winning the championship, which we ultimately were able to do. And you definitely won't forget that year.
So talk to me and educate us about the main differences between Canadian and American football. We know the field size is different. The end zone is 20 yards. The field is also a little wider, but the motions always intrigue me with the wide receivers getting a head start.
Yeah. So it's definitely a different in that sense. We got an extra guy on the field, obviously, and so we usually have an extra receiver as well. It's a lot harder on DBs for sure because they have to guard guys that are basically full speed by the time they start their route, and so it's a lot different. You don't really get a lot of press at all in Canadian football. It's a lot of just off or bail coverage or anything like that. So it's definitely a different game. The thing I like about Canadian football is that, it's because there's only 3 downs and all that, and not 4. It's much more of a passing league, and so
Ah,
you can really develop, um, yourself as a quarterback, because you throw the ball the majority of the game, and so that taught me a lot. That helped me a lot with my development as a quarterback. But at the end of the day, what I always tell people is that Canadian football is football at the end of the day, and so there's rules here and there, but it's still football. So
piggybacking off of what you said, I seen something that Chad Johnson, also known as Ocho Cinco, has said he didn't know how difficult the game was until he got there. He just thought he was going to go there and dominate, and that wasn't the case at all. So talk to me about your freshman year at Ohio. Matter of fact, before we get there, let's go back to December 19th, 2018. You signed your letter of intent to the Ohio Bobcats. Talk to me about your memories of that day and what led you to the Bobcats.
yeah, that was a moment again. I just won't forget. It's something that I grew up wanting to get to, be able to play professionally, and I knew going through, D1 United States is probably the best way to get there and reach those goals and dreams. And so be able to sign the letter of intent and declare that I'm going to be going to make that next step a reality. With my family, my parents, just to be able to sign that it was awesome. With my teammates around me and my coaches and all that, won't forget that. Chose Ohio. I mean, I think I knew going into, my brother was already there. I knew going into it what I expect, the culture. I knew the values that the program had, and I knew that the coaches were going to be there. Coach Schultz was there at the time, and he was a legendary coach, and still is. And I knew what he brought to the table, and I think it was the best school to go to in the MAC for sure at that time.
That is amazing. So talk to me about your freshman year at Ohio. You alluded to it earlier. Nathan was there. I'm sure he showed you the ropes. What do you remember about those dog days of fall camp and getting acclimated to being in the States?
Yeah, I remember the first week of meetings when I learned about defense coverages, and kind of talking about the difference in Canadian NFL. Offensively we have an extra guy, but defensively they also have an extra guy. So it's like there's an extra, nickel Sam, and so all the coverages I knew growing up through Canadian football weren't a thing in American football, and so that first week was just trying to retain as much information I could and try to figure out what base cover 3 was, or what the one plug meant and all that. And so it was just a bunch of it was a lot to take in, especially as a freshman because it was a lot more than normal. But having my brother there was great. He could help me, show me the ropes a little bit, but also help me just being acclimated to college life.
That's fantastic. So we're going to get into personally my favorite part of the show, which is rapid fire questions. We get to know the player outside of the gridiron. So what's your favorite pregame meal?
Definitely just basic, chicken, some beans, and some pasta, some just some like good carbs, to start and fuel up for the game.
What is something that you eat like pregame that you would typically eat in Canada, but we don't have here in the States?
I would definitely, um, so maybe some type of pizza. I like pineapple on pizza. I feel it's the whole like a Hawaiian pizza, like ham
That's
pineapple.
what I'm talking about.
So I know it's controversial for some people, but I think I love it. I love it. So.
It's very controversial, but growing up, I had no choice in my household. So yeah, we ate pineapple pizza. Well, I think it was the pineapple and ham pizza. I think they called it a Hawaiian or something like that.
Yeah.
If if you weren't playing football, what other sport would you be playing?
Definitely basketball. I played throughout high school. I love the game. Love watching it today. Big Toronto Raptors fan. But I love the fast pace of basketball. So if I wasn't playing it, I definitely try to gear towards basketball.
I believe you're 6'5" now. I think you were 6'5" in high school. I'm sorry, 6'3" in high school. What position did you play?
I play like the 4, so like a
Okay.
power forward kind of thing. I was more of a hustle player, rebounder. We had a bunch of scorers on our team, so I didn't need to do any of that, and so that was good with me.
I think that's just part of the leadership of a quarterback, being able to play a different sport and play your role. That is fantastic. I don't know if you're a music guy pregame, but if you are, what music are you currently listening to?
Yeah, it's kind of it depends. Whatever helps calm me down, just maybe get my mind off things and just get the time going faster. Whether that's some Christian music or I know last year one of the coaches is a big Taylor Swift fan, and he sent me a playlist that he wanted me to listen to, so I listened to her. But that's not a recurring thing for sure.
So, growing up in a Rourke household, what was the go-to cereal for you guys?
Honestly, I think it was like Honey Nut Cheerios at the time.
Wow. Okay.
I know. It was a staple. I mean, it had all the good stuff. May have not tasted good all the time, but it did the job. So
I gotta do some research. We asked that question to every athlete that comes on the show. I gotta do some research. I don't know if that's the first time and maybe the second time that I've heard that. That is phenomenal. So let's get back to the interview. In 2020, your brother graduates and he will go on to become a CFL legend. And I mean a CFL legend. You're the guy at quarterback, but then a global pandemic hits and ceases everything we knew as normality. What do you remember most about that shortened season?
it was just really a blur, honestly. That season, it kind of just it was shocked to happen. We were starting spring ball, and then all of a sudden got canceled. We didn't come back until late in the summer, and fall camp was kind of not there, and we didn't know if we were going to play games that season. And so, taking over and trying to follow up what Nathan did here is tough enough, and then having to deal with the pandemic, wearing masks during practice and games and all that is just something that you can't prepare for. And so it was definitely added challenge, but um, you know, I think getting those 3 games in 2020 helped me a little bit in my development for 2021, 2022, because I just got, just to get games under your belt is important to development of, as a player, especially quarterback. And so, um, you know, yeah, I'm glad we were able to play in 2020 for sure.
Yeah, we weren't sure, from the fan slash media perspective, we weren't sure if they were playing. I remember from the span of March to June 22 when the bubble started for the NBA, there was literally no sports. So we were watching like marble races, esports became major, even without the fans in the stadium. College football was the only thing that felt remotely normal for
Mm-hmm.
me.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So in 2021, you all were 3-9, and I always say losing are lessons. Losing is certainly a way to grow. It was the first time Ohio wasn't bowl eligible since 2008. What did you learn from that season that helped you propel the Bobcats the following season to 10-4 and a 25 touchdown season for you and an Arizona Bowl victory?
Yeah, I think it just showed, how good you need to be to win a game and be successful in college football. I think we lost a lot of games that year, and they were pretty close, and we just didn't have enough at that time to, finish the game in sense. And so, just being able to learn what it takes to win in the MAC and win games was really really crucial. It helped with planning and preparing the off season and getting saying this is where we want to be. If we want to be able to win games and go to a bowl game and all that, we need to prepare like this. We need to train like this and stuff. And so being able to understand that and learn that and work hard with your teammates because of that, it helped huge, especially in 2022.
This season, y'all are 4-1 of the season. I know, especially as a quarterback, I know players don't think like this, but I truly believe, and I can say that you guys would be 5-0 if you weren't injured that San Diego State game. What are both your team goals and your individual goals for the remainder of the season?
Yeah, I think ultimately personal and team goal is to go to the MAC championship and not leave in second place. That's something that you know definitely hurt a little bit leaving Detroit last year and losing to Toledo and definitely thinking that we were the better team last year. But um, that's number one, and that's something that that's been our goal ever since we left Detroit. And I think that starts with winning the state of Ohio and continuing to do that. That we got a lot of good MAC opponents this year, and so we got to take it one game at a time. each game, and but most importantly, I got to stay healthy as a team. Kind of goes to my personal goals. I want to stay healthy. That's the best thing. And then I just want to stay consistent. I think it's easy to have a really good game, but it's really hard to be consistent, and have continuous good games over and over and over again. And so that's something I'm striving for, and something I'm hoping I keep going. But a lot of work's got to go into that in order to reach that goal still.
I interviewed Judge Culpepper, I think either right before the season started or after week 1. So if you all meet Toledo again in the championship, I'm going to have to bring both you and Judge back on the show so we can talk a little football. Kurtis, I truly appreciate your time. Best of luck for the rest of the season. I'm going to throw this nugget out there now. I expect to see you, and I know your major's coaching and education, but I expect to see you in Mobile in February. That would be dope if I could see you down there.
It sounds good, man. Sounds good. Hopefully.
You rest up, like you said, consistency and stay healthy. You have a good one. I truly appreciate your time.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. You have a good one.